Hello ratbags, it's Jade with some absolutely huge news for 7 Days to Die. Finally, funpimps have come through with the information we've all been hoping that would come. They have now got the rights back to the console versions of 7 Days to Die. Interestingly though, this was about after I dug around a few days ago speaking to a reporter. Now, I did tag the creator of 7 Days to Die in my tweets with this reporter, and funnily enough, 24 hours later, they decide to announce some news and information about 7 Days to Die coming to console. So make sure you like this video to keep up to date with everything to do with survival games and 7 Days to Die. Let's go through everything that's going to happen. Is it a good ending? Maybe not. Hopefully you guys can persuade the devs that it's definitely worth pursuing an update, because by the sounds of it, they may not be able to straight away. So a few days ago, as I do pretty much every other day, I was checking to see if there was any more news. I decided to dig a little bit deeper into seeing if I could get hold of the assignment business that basically decided if the Telltale assets would be put on sale or not. What I come across was an article that I actually missed, because the last time I'd done a video talking about this was literally the day before. In this article from GameDaily.biz, basically, the two owners of Telltale Games, the new owners that have bought some of the assets and remade the game company into a new one, sat down and spoke a lot about what they was going to be doing. And what I actually discovered just reading it was that they said they only had the rights to Batman, The Wolf Among Us, and a couple of other games that no one's really maybe heard of too much. Puzzle Agent 1 and 2 and Vertigo. They also said that they had already sold on the rights for other games months and months beforehand. So that ties into everything I've been keeping you guys up to date with. I told you guys back in April there was an auction that was selling off some of the Telltale rights. And during that process we found out from other people through Reddit that the assignment company wouldn't actually say that Telltale actually had the rights to 7 Days to Die. When I read this article, I decided to get in contact with the author journalist. Mike Futter responded to my DMs and actually put it public by tweeting. Because JADE-PLAYS-GAMES DM'd me this question, I did a little poking around. Essentially, Jade asked me if I knew what the deal is with 7 Days to Die IP ownership pub rights. The game was published by Telltale Games, which went through an assignment process to sell its assets. The problem with ABC, assignment for the benefit of creditors, is that they are opaque. It's often really hard to know what's going on with IP rights, code assets, etc. In this case, what I know for a fact is that the new business operating under the Telltale name does not have, nor will it have, the IP rights or publishing rights for 7 Days to Die. There's no way to easily get in touch with the assignment company either. Now that assignment company is Sherwood. They're the ones that I told you guys about in April were in charge of the assets. It's most likely that all assets, both intellectual and tangible, are reverting to the original developer. Beyond that, it's a matter of waiting for word from the original developer. I wish I had a more detailed info, but as I said, assignments are opaque as heck. So you may be asking why I'm not just getting to the real article. I think it's important to recognise that through us really trying to hassle, and I hate to use that word hassle, but we've had to get some answers from the funpimps because they have been absolutely diabolically shit in keeping the community involved. I decided to tag Joel directly, and clearly seeing maybe possibly influence from reporters, they've now come out with a statement the next day. My tweet said, "Thanks Mike, we did get some info from company handling a sale of some assets back in April, and then also they said that the rights were not part of the sales that took place, or at least couldn't confirm. So at this stage only Joel Hunick can shed some light, yet nothing is what we get." Now you guys know I've been pretty critical of the funpimps, and I'm going to carry on being critical. But only because I want them to realise their game could carry on doing so well for them. Me and Mike had a bit of a back and forth in DMs as well, and he definitely confirmed it was the Sherwood partners. So take a look at this statement today, posted tonight. Many are speculating as to the future of 7 Days to Die on consoles, and the funpimps want it to be as transparent as possible. So here is the reality of the situation. After a long and tedious legal process in a closed auction, the funpimps have reacquired full console publishing rights on the current and all future versions of 7 Days to Die on PS4 and the Xbox One. We know there is still a steady and healthy 7 Days console community, as we hear from them on our social media channels all the time, and the game still nearly has 10,000 concurrent users playing the game on weekends. As far as updates, the console has not gotten a meaningful update since July of 2017, which has content and features from the Alpha 15 PC version. The funpimps are a PC game developer and publisher, and what we do not have the resources or expertise to do ports updates to the console. So we licensed the console publishing rights to Telltale Games, who hired Iron Galaxy, who have done the ports with minimal TFP assistance. We've all had a great thing going. A full Alpha 16 port was in the works. That is until Telltale's insolvency broke the cadence of builds, hurt our sales, reputation, and created this unfortunate situation. Instead of investing in a new update, TFP spent a very large sum of money regaining the rights back in an auction, in addition to ongoing legal and auditing fees. Now that we are the console publisher as an operational business and out with obligation to our investors and our hard-working team, who need to provide for their families too, we have to evaluate the expense and risk of porting any future versions of the game to consoles relative to the income it could generate. Full console ports cost into the millions of dollars, not to mention the restrictions the platform holders have on not breaking save games, which would be inevitable given our current framework. And the technical challenges associated with porting a resource-intensive game like 7 Days to console. With Sony and Microsoft, no matter how small, any update has to go through a rigorous testing submission process. As you can see, this is not an easy problem to solve. We are exploring all options that would eventually deliver a new version of 7 Days to Die on consoles, but this would likely happen after the PC version has gone gold and could end up being an entirely new product or on the next console. Please understand, Telltale going under has put the console version of 7 Days in this situation. The funpimps are just trying to look out for the future of our company and the game we care about. The funpimps will keep you updated as more information becomes available or if things change. Thank you for your continued support. So, I ain't gonna lie, it's not often I will blow my own trumpet, but I honestly think pressure from me, the videos that I've done over the last year, and you guys constantly talking on Twitter and the social medias, at last has got them to admit the truth. They have had the rights for some months. This auction took place in April. It was in May that Beam Team Games, the developers behind Stranded Deep, they announced they'd successfully got their console rights back after that auction in April. So no doubt about it, in my opinion and my eyes, this auction finished in April. The funpimps have literally been sitting on this information since then. No updates have been given, and the only word we received was in a live stream from Joel saying literally, if you want to play 7 Days to Die, you're best off buying a PC. So it does make me still really angry that they've waited this long to actually update. It does seem like they really didn't want any negativity towards obviously their PC updates that were coming out, particularly Alpha 18, which has just launched, and have chosen this exact moment after the launch of it to really put in there, so hopefully they don't get too much blowback. Regards to the ending there, it really is understandable. They're not a huge company, but they have sold millions of copies of their game on PC. Maybe if they hadn't spent 6 years in alpha and actually got their game finished and in gold position, they'd have some extra cash reserves by now. You may think I'm being really harsh, but I study and I learn a lot about game development in the last few years. I have followed so many game developers and their stories of bringing games to console. It's what I specialise in. And no doubt about it, it can cost a lot of money. But there are so many independent, small businesses that are managing to get their games out on Xbox, on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. And I think that's what the funpimps need to focus on right now. Believe it or not, the Nintendo Switch could be the biggest thing we have for saving any future updates, or at least not having to wait until the next generation before we get a 7 Days to Die game that is on par with PC. I'm not acting crazy here, I'm going to go through some stuff to prove my point. But regardless, I do wish the funpimps had just let us know sooner. As I said, and as Mike confirmed, this auction finished in April. So the funpimps have known since that time. At any point they could have just let us know and say, hey look, we've got the rights back, but it's not so simple, we're going to need help, we're going to have to come up with some ways to sort it out. Instead they kept silent despite so many protests, so many complaints, shutting down Reddit forums via their moderators, anyone talking about it. So a big FU to all the other YouTubers who are representing 7 Days to Die that have given me shit over the last 6 months. I've had plenty of messages from others saying that I've been too critical, calling my videos lies, and say that I am overblowing the situation. But from my point of view, from everything I've done in the research I've done on these videos over the last year, the funpimps have not acted with integrity. It wasn't their fault that Telltale Games went under, absolutely not their problem or issue. But long before this situation, there have been problems with getting these updates out to console in a speedy manner. And that has been down to the funpimps not releasing the code quick enough to Telltale Games, who then have to give it to the Iron Galaxy devs. And believe it or not, this is from Joel himself. If you go back far enough on his channel, you can find a video where he discusses the porting process and how it all happens with console. He demonstrates that it's a bit of a round robin thing. Give the updates when they're ready, the build to Telltale. Telltale then go through and process it through to Iron Galaxy. Iron Galaxy work on the build and they go back and forth with the funpimps working on it together. It then gets resubmitted to Telltale to finally push through to Xbox and PlayStation. Yet from this post here, Joel is pretty adamant that it would be very hard and they had minimal sort of assistance with doing it. But in this post here, Telltale pretty much say that was maybe not true. That Iron Galaxy did the majority of the work and there really wasn't that much funpimp assistance. Undoubtedly, if you're just a PC developer and they're very small outfit, the funpimps have never been very interested in conquering the world. Not every developer has to be this huge cash grabbing conglomerate, but you should at least be able to keep up and recognise with what else is going around you. Ignoring data, ignoring technology that would get your game onto other platforms is absolutely stupidity, and once again highlights how poor some of their decision making has been. Yes, I am going on a rant right now, but honestly, this feels definitely like a closure that we're not going to see any updates for console. The only way we could possibly see console updates is if they can generate enough money. And so that leads me on to the point that I mentioned earlier. The Nintendo Switch is the bestest selling console in 2019. In the United States in August and September, Nintendo Switch sold far many. As this article states and many others, it's the best selling platform of 2019. Nintendo Switch is the only platform with sale gains both in August as well as year to date. If you take a look at Nintendo Switch charts at the moment, look how many are independent, small first time game makers. Untitled Goose Game, Blasphemous, Hollow Knight, Stardew Valley, Bastion. All of these companies started out with these games as their first ventures, their first real games. Yes, some of them have been successful on other platforms, but the point being made, there is a whole wealth of people willing to buy games on Nintendo Switch at the moment. And can you imagine being able to play 7 Days to Die on the Switch? If anyone wants to say, oh, it can't handle it, listen. If they can get The Witcher 3 running on Nintendo Switch, which recently just come out, as well as games like Doom and Wolfenstein, then they can sure as shit get 7 Days to Die on the platform. And this is where this could actually be good things for Xbox and PlayStation. It would take significant investment. They would have to probably find a publisher to help them again, just like they did with Telltale. But there are some good publishers out there. They'd probably actually get a huge amount of money if they find the right one. Believe it or not, the funpimps I think are a little bit bitter because they sold the rights for their game to Telltale for very much under their value. They didn't know, they was inexperienced. But reportedly Telltale actually had 7 Days to Die being one of their #1 games that they made money from. Alongside The Walking Dead Season 1, 7 Days to Die outsold any other of their franchises like Batman, like The Wolf Among Us or Minecraft. It was 7 Days to Die that was still generating them loads of money. Maybe I need to become their new business manager or their community console expert. But there are loads of publishing companies out there that are doing lots of good work with other studios. THQ Nordic, they have published bunches of games this year. Focus Home Entertainment, they have put pretty much most of their games as possible on Nintendo Switch this year. With Call of Cthulhu coming out, Vampire also scheduled for the Switch or on the Switch. So it wouldn't be that hard to find a publisher. Whether or not they want to go through that process, understandably, with the way that they got treated by Telltale and everything that went on with that, I totally get it. But there is absolute millions to be made. Mainly because Nintendo Switch don't take as much cut from every sale. Steam take 30% of every single sale. Xbox or PlayStation take 30%. Don't worry, they're not suddenly going to become an Epic Games exclusive, but they could certainly find a developer to help them get this game made for Switch, and at the same time it wouldn't be too much trouble to take that code and get it ported over for Xbox and PlayStation. So yes, they do state in this update they may have to wait until the game goes gold, and last year Joel did state the game would go gold this year. Unfortunately, it's looking more or less likely since Alpha 18 is still very much in experimental. It may have come out, but they've already started a new branch, and with no beta date listed, I don't think 7 Days to Die is going to be ready until next year. So that's going to be 7 years of development. So that's one option. Find another publisher with experience, or find a smaller publisher that you can make sure you take more of a cut. Put it on a new platform as well as port it to the current platforms, and you will make a ton of money. Not only are you going to make money off the Switch sales, but if Xbox and PlayStation are updated to a fairly decent degree, that added the content that PC has, word of mouth and other players coming back to the game will certainly spread to new players. 7 Days to Die could possibly regain a lot of the sales if they can just get some updates added. Or even go back to Iron Galaxy. Iron Galaxy are not in a very good way. One of their big own projects, Extinction, was a complete flop. It was boring, generic, and it just really didn't live up to any hype that anyone maybe had in the game. Apart from that failure, Killer Instinct isn't really setting the world alight despite how many new DLC packs they could possibly add. And so when you think about any other games they've done, it's been a while since they've actually been in recognisable form as a porting studio. Maybe they're working on something deeply just on their own, but I still think that they're probably the best bet also to help get the game ported over. Make them co-publishers of the game. Since they can publish their own games, why not see if they will be able to do it for 7 Days to Die? They've got the experience with the code, and I'm pretty sure they'll probably have records of it somewhere. So it should be a relatively easier thing to do than giving the whole huge mess over to a brand new company. Porting companies are around though. Double 11, Panic Button, Abstraction. These are all companies that have ported over some of the most arduous games from PC to console, like Ark. Even Rust is getting ported to console by Double 11. So it's not out the realms of possibility that this could be a thing. The last one I would say is DLC. As much as I hate saying it, for fans, you guys that really love this game, I don't think you would really mind paying $5 to get some skins for something maybe made by the modern community on PC. You can pay them a few dollars from each sale and see if you can drum up some support for the game. Literally, it costs nothing to get skins made. Other than obviously working on an artist, I'm sure they'll be able to do that somewhere. If they can find a way they can do a one-time deal, even to just get the skins on the platform right now on Xbox and PlayStation, the sales that could generate could go towards a proper port or an update at least of what's currently there. Other YouTubers talk about the long tail of gaming. Xbox and PlayStation aren't selling as well as they used to because everyone is now waiting for the next console. But PS4 has 90 million copies of their platform sold. Not all of them are going to rush out and get a PS5. It took 1.5 years to get 30 million copies sold. Xbox were even worse. They've still only sold about 35-40 million platform consoles. With backwards compatibility being a thing on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox reportedly as well, I see no reason why you can't invest in the game now, and then when it does come to the next generation, maybe add a $5 pack that boosts the game up to 1080 and 4K, add some extra free cosmetic skin DLC, and by that point 7 Days would have been out of alpha. We could see 7 Days to Die update again. Whether or not we need that update is another matter. There is still quite a bit of blowback at the moment. Lots of people unhappy with Alpha 18, but I still think this is a cause worth fighting for, and I hope Joel, if he's watching this, despite my criticism, if he ever needs any help, I'd love to help him out. I'll gladly start banging the bell for him and start talking to some of these modders or these port teams and find a way that we can get this game updated. But there you go folks, don't expect an update for 7 Days to Die in this year, certainly not, and from the way they're saying this post, I wouldn't expect it next year either. It's taken Beam Team Games, the people behind Stranded Deep, 5 months to get into a position to re-release their game, and their game was complete. It had been already done, but the collapse of Telltale meant they couldn't actually finish it off. But they've just announced some big console news about their release date, and that's coming soon. So, if you want 7 Days to come back, let's not be too negative in social media. Let's just start banging this drum about them porting it over to the Switch. If you ever tweet at these developers, if you ever make any forum posts, if you ever speak to anyone or regarding social media posts like this, hashtag Switch in your comments. I mean, I'd love to say hashtag JPG, but you know, let's not get too much of a big head. The Switch certainly would be a better option, and I think it's something viable. You have a gold mine here. You sold 4 million copies of this game on Xbox and PlayStation. You sold just as many as that on PC. You can sell easily another million on Switch. People are still crying out for a more mature Minecraft, a sandbox game that has fear and has dynamics, something to build towards, protect yourself. That's why so many people love 7 Days to Die, because it's not just Minecraft, it's actually got a goal, it's actually got something to do, a reason to go and build and gather and craft. Anyway, that's it, I'm done. This is going to be the last 7 Days to Die video unless we get any more information about what's happening. We've had a good run. I've tried not to be clickbaity, and I haven't done videos every week milking it. It's literally been 4 over the last 9 months. My channel is all about delivering you guys news on survival games, indie games, but specifically about them coming to console. I'm passionate about that, and I'm passionate about developers treating their fan base in the correct, right manner. That's why I get so aggravated by some developers when they just don't keep people informed. No one is going to be upset with you because you can't update the game because you haven't got the money. But we can be upset on you when you've not told us for months on end. Look into it, fun pimps. Go and see if any company will take you on and getting this game made for the Switch. Look outside your PC master wank race bubble and see there is possibilities here to make more money and keep your developers and their families even better off than they already are. I am JPG. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll keep you guys up to date if there is any breakthrough. But at long last, we don't have to think about what's happening anymore. There it is.